So we are working our way through the 10 Commandments. The first commandment, as you'll recall, is what? No other gods. All right, good. All right. So we got that one. No other gods. The second one is Lord's name, right? Do not take the Lord's name in vain. The third one is to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Now, we're going to get a little bit out of order. Next week, we're going to talk about the fifth commandment, you shall not kill. I have a treat for us. At the end of September, we're going to have a guest preacher. The campus pastor from Texas Lutheran University is going to be here on September 29th. He's going to talk about honoring our fathers and mothers. And so we're going to swap those 2 weeks a little bit. And so we can look forward to that on the 29th. Pastor Wes Kane, it'll be a great treat to have him here as part of our worship. And I want to bear in mind, as I think about campus ministry, my parents, as I did, went to an ELCA affiliated university, Wittenberg University, which is in Springfield, Ohio. Wittenberg had to cancel all of their events today because of the hatred and rumors going on in our world about immigrant communities. We're going to talk more about that next week. But today, it's worth saying that hateful speech always leads to hateful actions. Hateful speech always leads to hateful actions. And as people of faith, we condemn anything that belittles and demeans the image and likeness of God in our neighbors. Leave that at that. We'll come back to that again next week as we talk about that fifth commandment. But for now, pop quiz, real easy. How many days in a week? Why? Perfect number. Right? It is because of Genesis. Across the ancient world, right, the number one way to organize your life is by the lunar calendar, by the number of days. Where this noise is coming from, there we go. By the number of days it takes for the moon to run through a full cycle, which is 29 and a half, which is fully divisible by nothing, right? So 7 is not a natural division of that lunar month. And so across the ancient world, you had weeks, divisions of times that were 10 days or 8 days or 9 days. But really, it's because of the Sabbath observance of the Jewish people and then the Christian people that the 7-day week became normal. That whole rhythm of our life comes out of Genesis. And in the midst of that, we discover this seventh day. And I love the Sabbath commandment, the third commandment. Someone remember for me, so 6 days you shall work, and on the seventh day you shall not. And what else does it say in that seventh commandment? Does anybody remember? Keep it holy. But also, not only you, but the servants in your house, your livestock, everyone who depends on you. No one should work. It's not just about what you do, but it's about how we live in community. I think that out of all the things that happen in the Old Testament, this Sabbath commandment is the most revolutionary. Right? Because, and again, we're bad about it, right? So we've got people who want to put the 10 Commandments up in schools, and we've talked about this. How many of them are asking to make sure that nobody works 40 hours a week? Are the people who are advocating for the 10 Commandments the same people advocating for a living wage, being able to afford your home and your food on just 40 hours a week? Because the Sabbath says you should work and you should rest, which means that in the time you work, you ought to have enough to be able to rest. That's where those sort of labor laws came out of. 40-day work weeks, 2-day work weekends, overtime. All of those things came out of faith-based people involved in the labor movement who said, we are worth enough that we deserve to rest. We are worth enough that I shouldn't have to work 3 jobs to afford an apartment in Montgomery County. It's revolutionary, this idea of rest. And we're absolutely terrible about it. Lots of us grew up in that sort of mid-20th century home, right, where we had blue laws and all those things designed to protect Sabbath. So you couldn't buy liquor on Sunday morning. You couldn't go out to eat. Because you couldn't go out to eat, we all had dinner at home, right? Who fixed dinner at home? Was it restful? No. So often, our ideas of rest require somebody else to work. Our ideas of rest require the labor of others. If I, which is often the case, on Sunday afternoon say, I am too tired and lazy to fix food, I'm going to pick up my phone, I'm going to Uber Eats something, and someone else is going to fix it, someone else is going to deliver it, they aren't resting. That's what's revolutionary about the Sabbath. Is he says, not just you, but everyone deserves to rest. And if you are making someone else work, you aren't actually observing Sabbath. If you are causing someone else to go into a hardship in order to provide for you, you aren't resting. Because we rest together. What a revolutionary idea. Everybody deserves rest. It's built into our DNA. In fact, about 500 BC is about when our Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, comes into its finer form, about 500 BC. At the same time, 500 BC, half a world away, the Buddhists developed this idea that every 10 days you should stop and rest. How about that? A cycle of rest. It's built into our DNA. I saw it last week. If you're pushing hard and you don't stop, if you're working overtime and doing all the things at home and doing all the running around and you don't take a break, what happens? You get sick. You crash. Your body will make you rest. If you don't rest, your body will make you rest. But we have this sickness deep down in our souls. You can call it sin. You can call it a fatal flaw. You can call it a brokenness. I'll show it to you. I want you to complete a phrase for me, all right? Time is money. That's a sin, folks. That's a sin. Because we believe as the church that time is created by God and time is a gift. Time is a gift. That's why, if you read the Old Testament, they condemn usury, charging interest. Because you can't charge money for time. Because time is a gift from God. Oh. How much would our worlds shift if we went from time is money to time is gift? How often during the day do you check your watch or check the time? Oh, we're slaves to it, aren't we? We're slaves to the clock and to the time and to the consumption of time because time is money. How much are we missing of who God calls us to be? Because we're caught in that slavery to time. Because we're caught in that consumption of time. Folks, it's new, right? Clocks are new. Clocks didn't come around till 16th, 17th century. It's only recently that we have divided up our days into hours and minutes and said you have to use X number for this and X number for that. You know when you used to go out in the fields? Sun up, or when you got up. And when you came in, when you were done. Right? You didn't clock in and clock out. You didn't owe time to anybody. It was yours. I think one of the radical things that we can do in a world that believes that time is money, in a world that believes that you need to be productive every moment of every day, is to rest without excuses, to rest without reason, to rest and just be. It's hard for us. You ever have a day off and felt guilty that you didn't get more done? Oh, that's the devil, folks. That is the devil. Because you are holy enough to rest. You are made in the image of God and you deserve rest. For no reason other than that you are. For no reason other than that you are in the image of God. You deserve. God calls you to. In fact, it's what we're talking about. God commands you to do nothing. God commands you to do nothing. At least once a week. Now I get it. Right? Spanish speakers, what's the word for Saturday? Sabbath, right? Sabbath. Traditionally, Sabbath in the Jewish world is Saturday. It's why our weekend is 2 days. It's Saturday and it's Sunday. It's Saturday for our Jewish friends so that they can observe Sabbath, and Sunday for us so that we can worship. And that's the whole reason we have a 2-day weekend. Other parts of the world, it's Friday and Saturday because they're Muslim and Jewish living together. Other days, other places, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday because all three Abrahamic faiths live together. And everybody deserves to rest. Imagine if we only had a 4-day work week. Evidence actually says we'd be more productive. Really. Every study done on a 4-day work week says if we had a 4-day work week, we would get more done. And we would be better at resting. But maybe we don't rest on Saturdays. Maybe some of us, Sunday's not as restful. That's okay. My Sabbath is often on a Friday. The goal is to take 1 day a week. Take 1 day a week and you do nothing. Not mow the lawn. Not run and do groceries. Not clean the house. Rest. And it will take practice. Folks, rest is hard work. Because we got that voice in the back of our head that says, you should be doing. You ought to be doing. Rest. Practice it. Practice sitting there and not feeling guilty that you're not cleaning up that mess in the corner or the dishes in the sink. They'll be there when you get there. I promise. Rest. As if your life depended on it. Do nothing as if your life depended on it, because Scripture says, and practical experience of our physiology proves, it does depend on it. You need rest. I got to say that story that I talked about with the kids really is one of my favorites, right? Because they're in the middle of the storm. And the disciples are all a Twitter, right? They're all like, good God, we're dying. Don't you care? Aren't you going to do anything? How can you just sit there? And Jesus doesn't say, I'm sorry, I was tired. He doesn't say, I'm sorry, I had a busy week. He says, what's wrong with you? That you're all worked up over things you can't change. What's wrong with you? That you're doing things that are accomplish nothing just so that you can say that you're busy. He calms the storm, not to show them who he is, although he does do that, but just to get them to calm down. He would have been fine not doing it and kept on napping. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. And on that day, you shall not work, nor anyone else in your household. You shall not work, nor those who wait on you, or serve you, or deliver to you. You shall not work and not feel guilty about it. Because rest is holy. Rest in a world that values only productivity, rest is revolutionary. Rest is countercultural. And rest is what we are called to as people of God. Amen.